Another Dooley Noted Podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Celebration Point. Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Another Dooley Noted Podcast. We are, of course, presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios here at Steve Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, where I just had some great meetings for our golf tournament. Just throw that out there, and looks like Prime and Pearl is going to get involved, which is very exciting. Also, the Keys gave us some gift certificates, and I'm very happy, so I want to give everybody free plugs. Boy, let me see. What can I talk about today? There's nothing to talk about. How about this? Florida's got a new basketball coach, apparently. His name is Todd Golden. That's all I know. I know I watched their game last night, but he seemed like he did a pretty good job. They lost in overtime to a very good Murray State team. And Murray State's coach was a guy that a lot of people – in fact, I was watching the game because I wanted to see Murray State's coach and kind of how he handled himself. And then after watching the St. Peter's game, I put Shaheen Holloway on the list. And I'm thinking, man, this is going to be interesting as it goes forward. And then all of a sudden today, boom, out of nowhere, Todd Golden, the coach at San Francisco of the Dons. There he is. He looks like he's too sexy for his shirt right there. That's what I'm seeing. I am too sexy for my shirt. No, I don't know anything about this guy. I know he's had a successful few years at San Francisco. Got him in the tournament this year. Lost a tough game last night. Coached at Auburn. Did coach at Auburn, but he's very young, 36, and it seems like the pattern that Florida has followed really since Jeremy Foley got here, which is to hire young up-and-comers. It's what they did the last time, and they had some success with that with Mike White, but not overall success. I'm a little stunned by this, to be honest with you. I know that there were people that felt like they needed to be patient. Florida needed to be patient on this thing because guys were going to open up. And I'm always worried about you looking for a coach and all of a sudden a guy wins a game and you go, that's our guy. We want to. So don't get too caught up in that. I haven't talked to Scott Strickland. I mean, this literally happened, and I don't think it's even been announced officially, but it appears that it is happening. That he is the next basketball coach at the University of Florida, Todd Golden. He's too sexy. But it is what it is, man. I mean, I can't really detail you too much. All I can give you is age, what he looks like. We gave you a picture. That's all we can do. I mean, I'm going to have to delve into this over the next few days or so. To find out whether this was look, I don't think Scott Strickland probably had conversations even before Mike White left. I don't know that he did, but Mike White leaving did not happen Sunday. Mike White officially leaving happened Sunday. It had been going on for a little while. There have been discussions. So he might have had a list, and that's one thing that we always talk about with ADs. They have a list. And they can pull it out. Let's see, golf. Here are the 10 best golf coaches I need to look at. And you have to go down sometimes to get to the one you can afford or you want to afford. Again, you're not spending a lot of money hiring a coach away from San Francisco. If that's what it's all about, it's kind of discouraging. I don't know, though. I've got to get with Scott Strickland and meet this guy and find out. But it's a surprise. It's a stunner, to be honest with you. Look, I know that a lot of you had people you wanted to hire, but you weren't doing the hiring. It was the last I saw. So this is what it is. And I would hope, assuming that this all goes through, because it's being reported by, I think CBS had it first. ESPN saying that he's the main target, but it sounds like it's a done deal. I would hope that you would all support him and welcome him to town the way you welcome Billy Napier into town. And say, hey, we want you to be around. We want you to be social. We want you to not have any fear of going out in public with your children. We don't want that. I don't even know if he has children. I don't even know if he's married. I know nothing. Why are you watching this? I don't know. Oh, it is kind of flabbergasted me to have this wave of this hiring take place right as we're going on the air. So anyway, just to let you know, of course, today Wayne Fields is going to join us. We'll talk to him about his career and also the golf tournament they have coming up for the Willie Jackson Leonard George Foundation, which is a great endowment that they're doing, and we'll talk to him about that. Monday, the HBC will be back on, and then Friday, Peter Burns, my good friend Peter Burns will be on. We'll talk to him about basketball. My opening today was going to be the move that God, I'm so screwed up right now. I started to say Todd Grantham made because I got a Todd in my head, and it's Todd G. The last Todd G didn't work out here. The move that Billy Napier made to move the spring game to Thursday night, which is totally for recruiting and not for the fans at all. Okay? That's not a good sign there. I do understand what his philosophy is on this. Have a night game. It'll be the only game on. People will actually be watching it because there's not a whole lot else to watch. They'll be interested. It'll be good for recruiting. But it's a Thursday night game. It just feels kind of weird. If it was Friday night, it'd be one thing. I think Florida played a Friday night spring game, maybe a couple of them, and then it kind of went away. But I just, to me, it's kind of weird to do this, and especially to wait until somebody came up with the idea. And I don't know that I really like this. I mean, look, if it gets you more players, good. Spring games are boring anyway. I think they're trying to make sure I don't go to it, and that may be the. It could be well after my bedtime when I get home. Although I will tell you, I have been watching some basketball. I watched 12 hours yesterday. And I finally went to bed, and there were still games being played, and I said, I got to go to bed. I'm too tired. But I enjoyed the heck out of it. All right. So that happened. The spring game will be April 14th at 7:30. One thing that I've seen, and again, I'm not out there at practice. You can go out there and just watch guys run around. Maybe I will be getting out there later, but not right now. Got too much going on. Slab leak. God. Slab leak and taxes. Two things, I guess, that are, what is it, death and taxes are the two things you can count on? Slab leaks and taxes, I think. Yeah. So the one thing I did notice, though, was Finley Graham. I'm hearing a lot, Finley Graham Jr. It's been around 2 years. They have never played him. Supposed to be a great athlete. They either couldn't figure out what to do or just didn't bother with him. Maybe he didn't have a good attitude. Appears to be now running with the wide receivers, and that could be another step in the right direction there. So other than that, there's not a whole lot. Of course, the Emory thing that happened early in the week after their first practice, we haven't talked about that. We'll just briefly, Emory said he was gone. Napier came to him and said, hey, I can make you into a good quarterback, and he decided to stay. And so he re-recruited him. And we'll see what happens. Now, like, if you bet me on who would be the quarterback starting opening day, I wouldn't bet. It would be just a total guess. So there's that. Then there's the game that we saw Wednesday night, which you saw Florida do what Florida does, which is to get behind and then rally, and you go, oh, here it is, and they're going to come up short. Whoa. Wait, no, they're not going to come up short. They're going to win this game against Iona. And the only reason I even mentioned this game, and I will say this, I watched the whole thing. Because I just want to watch those guys play, even though I don't want to watch them play anymore. Yeah, I still do. They're the Gators. I want to watch them. Going to watch them. Going to watch them on, what are they, Saturday? Sunday? Whatever day it is. I got it written down here. 1 p.m. Sunday. I'm going to watch that game too because it's still the Gators. It was good to see them win. And it kind of made me feel good. And I was like, I think I can watch 12 hours of basketball Thursday. I'll be okay with that. I wasn't going to watch a lot of it. So thank you, Gators, for that win. You haven't gotten too many of them, but you did get those. And then also Kentucky's loss last night, which, of course, there's one good thing that one thing that has never happened. Mike White never lost a game in the first round. John Calipari can't say as much. That was an interesting game. I enjoyed the heck out of it. I was so happy. I do have a St. Peter's T-shirt on the way. I'll tell you that. It's already been ordered, paid for. It's on the way. I think I get it Wednesday. Because you know how I feel about Kentucky. But that's now there's going to be a lot of this, like, maybe Calipari's not the right guy. They had the worst season they've ever had last year. I know it was a COVID year, but worst season ever. And then this year they go out, the worst one, probably the worst loss, definitely, I think the worst loss. I mean, people are arguing whether it's worse than Virginia's loss to Maryland, Baltimore County last year in the tournament. And you can make that argument because they were without, what was it, DeAndre Phillips, I think it was their best player was out. There was nobody out for Kentucky, and they lost. They got outplayed. The better team won the game. Hire that guy. Not too late for that, I guess. But it was fun. And, of course, the Kentucky fans are responding to it very negatively, as you would expect them to. They're getting all over Kellen Grady's timeline on his Instagram and everything. It's just a mess, but it's kind of a fun mess because we all always enjoy it. I call them the Kidiots. Kentucky idiots. I guess they could be the Widiots, Wildcat idiots. You could do that. But anyway, it's a great time to be alive, to be watching all this stuff, to watch all this great basketball. And we got a lot of stuff to go over. Hesser and Kipke games of the weekend. I got so many things I don't even know how to fit them all in, so we can get into all those. And we got a lot of other things to talk about as well going forward. And, of course, what's going on with the NFL, guys getting traded left and right, and it's amazing. But basketball's taken, and it is kind of weird to not be watching basketball right now because there are basketball games being going on. But as soon as this is over, as soon as I get done here, I will be home watching. Now, I should get out and walk around every once in a while. Except I did hurt my foot the other day, stepping in a hole where my slab leak issues are. Don't get me started. Do not get me started on complaining about my life. My life is great. And my wife's birthday is tomorrow. So everybody wish a happy 39th birthday to Karen Dooley. We're happy. We're happy she's still with us. Just because she had that surgery, I got scared. All right. All right, I'm in a weird mood today, but we're going to have a great guy coming up here after we take this break to talk about a lot of different things. He is a legend around this community. Wayne Fields will join us after we take the break. We'll come right back with more of Another Dooley Noted Podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios at Steve Spurrier's Gridiron Grill.
Titan MRI, North Central Florida's premier independent diagnostic testing MRI facility. At Titan MRI, we're focused on you, the patient, having a great customer experience. Our MRI equipment is modern and 75% quieter than any unit in its class. And our MRI unit has one of the largest openings of any of the newer high-strength MRI units, which allows comfortable scanning for potential claustrophobic and larger patients. At Titan MRI, we look forward to serving you.
Hello there, everybody. I'm Pat Dooley, of course, from Another Dooley Noted Podcast. And this is a great Adam Brewer, and he's just opened up a place here, Adam Brewer To Go. What gave you the idea to do this, to have a to-go place?
We really like the fast concept, being able to get the barbecue Now we have this new online ordering. So before it was a call ahead carry out, quick service. We have like a curbside kind of a deal where everything's ready to go for you. And then we thought, wow, we have a really great dine-in concept, but how can we make this streamlined for the customer and make it easy and accessible for all parts of town?
Adam's Rib Co. to go. Come on down and enjoy it.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Trebo Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Bite Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
Another Duly Noted podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Celebration Point. You can watch and listen to us on Facebook and YouTube for every podcast that we do on Mondays and Fridays at 2 o'clock. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Overcast, any of the other 39 platforms where you can find this podcast or your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments section below or call me if you want to do some advertising at 352-317-3444.
Albert, Alberta, I understand you were witnesses to a crash. Can you tell us about the accident? When you're in a crash, it's important to get witness statements immediately after the accident. Whether you're in a car, truck, motorcycle, scooter, or even a golf cart accident, at Meldon Law, we won't back down.
Okay, welcome back to another Duly Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gators studios here at Steve Spurrier's Grill. And we are going to our Big Mills Cheesesteaks Zoom line to talk to our good friend Wayne Fields, the legend, and he is a legend. I'm curious how your dad got the middle name Gazelle. I want to know about that.
Well, he was named after his father. And
Really?
as a matter of fact, the name Gazelle has been passed on to my son as well.
Really?
And my cousin's son as well. So we've been passing that name Gazelle around just as a tidbit of history here. My dad, Dr. Julius Gazelle Fields, was the first African-American dentist in the city of St. Augustine. And one of his patients was Dr. Martin Luther King. And when Dr. King would come to St. Augustine, he would stay with my father, and together they boycotted, or they at least demonstrated, to try and desegregate the beaches of St. Augustine. They weren't successful, but he was a part of that era with Dr. Martin Luther King and civil rights movement.
You don't know this, but I just moved to St. Augustine when all of this was going on. And we lived out by the beach. In fact, I remember we went to Butler Beach and we were like, hey, this beach is great. There's nobody on it. And then they told us, people came to us and go, well, that's the Black Beach. I go, well, what do you mean? The waves are the same color as they were before. So we'd always go to Butler Beach because we loved it there. But there's a monument right by where my sister lived to Dr. Luke. It may be your dad's house because it's a house where he used to stay.
That's correct. And they have the section of town was known as Lincolnville. And Lincolnville
exactly,
has many historical sites there, churches that are there, in addition to individuals who assisted Dr. King in his plight. There was in Gainesville a Reverend Wright, a Reverend T.A. Wright, who for years was a civil rights activist, started Mount Carmel Baptist Church and worked in the economic development as far as in Gainesville. And Dr. Wright also was very active in St. Augustine.
Yeah, it's funny because, and I don't want to say funny, but I dealt with a lot of that in high school because we were the first segregated class at St. Augustine High School, our first integrated class. I'm sorry, at
Right.
St. Augustine High School, and I had gone to Catholic school, and I didn't know that the rednecks would tell you can't talk to black people. So when I did, they would beat my ass, and I would just say, what did I do? These are human beings. It was very traumatic my first year of high school.
Well, my great grandfather, Mr. Hankerson, was the first board of directors of Florida Memorial College, that is now Flagler College, and Florida Memorial also moved down to Broward County. But my grandfather was very active in the educational system, and my dad was a student of the all-black high school, Excelsior High School, which is now a museum. And my father was not only a scholar, but he was also an athlete. And he was a football player, basketball player, baseball player, track runner, just an outstanding athlete. And he went on and specialized in dentistry and did a fantastic job. Very proud. The city of Augustine, St. Augustine actually recognized him, and they had a proclamation that was presented to me and my family, and we really appreciate their efforts.
That's great. St. Augustine has come a long way. There's no question about it. So when you are growing up in Gainesville, I know you were born in Delray, right?
That's correct. Delray Beach, Florida. Viva La Delray, a block away from where the Williams Sisters tennis facility is. Yes.
Well, but you moved to Gainesville, and then you became quite a great player at Gainesville High. And what was it like for you? I mean, you see what's going on with these recruits now. I mean, they get picked up in limousines and everything. But what was it like getting recruited to the hometown school there?
Well, for the recruitment, the process that we went to, the only thing that we could look forward to was $15 a month and a check that was given to athletes that was done legally. And the other thing that we did is we visited only 5 universities legally, and then the other visitation to other institutions had to be on our dime. So we had to pay for that. But I was recruited by Georgia Tech. I was recruited by Morgan State up in Baltimore. And I was also recruited by Vanderbilt University, which I actually committed to Vanderbilt and thought that's
Really?
where I wanted to go. And instead, at the last minute, Vanderbilt said, we don't want you to sign a scholarship right now, our letter of intent. What we'd like for you to do is hold off because we'd like to get some other players. So I kind of misunderstood what they were saying. I called Coach Doug Dickey, and we call him Doug Abraham Lincoln Dickey. What he did for the University of Florida in the recruitment of getting African-American athletes here is just, it needs to be recognized.
Yeah.
He went out of his way to make sure that he integrated the SEC. And he started it at Tennessee with Condridge Holloway, as you know.
Yep. And was the fact that Willie and Leonard were here, did that make it easier for you to come to Florida?
It was the reason why I came to Florida, along with some other recruits who came in with me who played in the high school all-star game, which was held here at the University of Florida years ago. Right. Yeah. But Leonard and Willie, because they came to see me play while I was in high school, they would come down after the game and they'd talk to me and they would invite me to come and play at the University of Florida. And I would go to different socials on campus at the University of Florida. And so when I made a decision not to go to Vanderbilt University, but to come to the University of Florida, they welcomed me with open arms.
Yeah, it had to be kind of tough because it was a transition time, too, for the Florida football program with Doug Dickey as a coach. And you guys had some great moments, and certainly that November to remember was one of them. But it had to be kind of tough because he was trying to change the way you guys did things. and also was integrating the football team at the same time.
That's right. And you mentioned the November to Remember. What an absolute fantastic transition and flipping in one season when we lost 5 games, and then all of a sudden we were booed off the field because the quarterback thought that it was 4th down or it was 3rd down, and he killed the clock, and it was actually 4th down. And that stopped us from being able to win the game, and you know about that one.
My friend David Bowden, that's who it was, yeah.
David Bowden, about 5'9", 5'10", sidearm thrower, but he could throw that ball. He had a beautiful touch on the ball.
Great baseball player.
Was very accurate and an outstanding baseball player. But when he threw that ball out of bounds, we'd lost 5 games in a row, and we were booed off the field. I'd never experienced anything like that. I know what Emory Jones feels when he hears people from the stands booing for him. And so we then brought in Don Gaffney, and what an outstanding quarterback he was. He played in 3 different offenses. He played in the pro set, he played in the I set, and he played in the wishbone. I don't know of any other quarterback that could have made that type of adjustment and transition, and he did it, and he always excelled in each year. We went from 5-1 to about 7-4, and then we were 10-3 or something, or 10-2, something like that. Yeah. But we were 1 play away from winning the SEC in our senior year, and it just wasn't meant to be. So we had to wait until next year.
That was the motto back then, right?
Yeah, that it was.
Wait till next year. I remember in 1968, the Gainesville Sun, the headline across the top, wait till next year. They'd fumbled 8 times at North Carolina in the rain. So it went on. It went on for a long time. But, I mean, it must have been pretty cool to run out there being a Gainesville guy, to run out on Florida Field your first time, and you're in the uniform and you're playing for the Gators.
Well, absolutely. And not only myself, we had a long list of players. Our coach coming out of Gainesville High School was Jim Nyblack. Right. And Jim Nyblack that program at Gainesville High School was second to none. And the way that he had a tradition of making sure that we were prepared for the transition of going from high school to college. I mean, Eddie McShann, Johnny Fiber, Jim Roundtree, Alvin Butler, Melvin Flanoy, Knapp Green, Victor Bradley. You just go on and on of the players who came out of Gainesville High School and who excelled, were outstanding players. I'd like to think that I contributed some at the University of Florida as well. And let me say this, Pat. I am the only double-digit interceptions in a career with no Hall of Fame connected to my name.
We got to do something about that now. We got to do something about that. We're trying to get a lot of people into the Hall of Fames, but like we're trying to get Alex Brown into Hall of Fames and all these guys. We need to do something about that. You should be in the Hall of Fame just for that pick 6 against Miami. And I've told you the story before, but the Gainesville Sun had a huge picture of you running it in like this, and in the background,
right.
there are 4 people, me, Robbie, and our 2 brothers, going like this. And we got that picture blown up. It's pretty cool. But that was a great play right there.
Let me say this. I came into the University of Florida second in total scoring and touchdowns. A guy by the name of Leon Bright came up from Fort Pierce, and he went to Florida State.
He did,
and I scored 28 touchdowns in my senior year. He scored 32. We were back and forth. I walk on the campus at the University of Florida, and Doug Dickey tells me, we're going to move you to defensive back. I'd never played 1 down at defensive back. But I accepted the challenge. And led the team in interceptions in my freshman year, and I only played 6 games in my freshman year. In my sophomore year, I also led the team in interceptions, and then, of course, came second because a guy by the name of Randy Talbot had 6 interceptions in 1 year. So that was kind of par for the course, but my career at the University of Florida had some great showdowns, playing against Chuck Foreman from the University of Miami, playing against Chuck Woodson, playing against some of the best running backs. Sonny Collins led the conference in rushing when we played against him, and we played him for 2 seasons, and that was just an exciting opportunity. Had 3 interceptions against Kentucky, and I like to tell my kids that I had an opportunity to really have a good time, both athletically and academically. And I did get my degree. And the main thing I wanted to tell you is Leonard George and Willie Jackson came in together, and 4 years later, they graduated together. So they were a major influence on the guys who came in.
Absolutely. And, I mean, obviously, what you were able to do at Florida, and then you went on and became a legendary DJ, too. So I know that.
I don't know about well, I don't know about the legendary, but we did some things here coming out of the University of Florida. I got drafted to go to the Pittsburgh Steelers in the last round, the last draft pick of the NFL that year in 1976.
Yeah, you were. That's right.
So we're having some technical difficulties.
No, I'm just having trouble hearing. But
yes, sir. But
I can hear you.
I actually hurt my knee. Okay, well, I tore my knee up in my senior year, which is why I didn't get an opportunity to be successful in the NFL. Came back here and got my degree in communications, advertising, broadcasting from the School of Journalism, and have used it ever since.
Absolutely. And I want to talk about the golf tournament you have coming up for the endowment. It's WJJM is the name of the organization, which is you guys have put together to try to raise as much money as possible for this endowment in the names of Leonard, George, and Willie Jackson, which I think is great. And we had Jimmy DeBose, one of my favorite players on here before, and
Jimmy Doo,
man, I love that guy. All those guys, that's my generation there, watching those guys. But another guy that I know is going to be out there is Melvin Flournoy. He was at the quarterback club the other night. He was a legend coming out of high school, wasn't he?
Melvin was first team All-American.
Yep.
Just an outstanding player. He hurt his knee as well. Leading tackler, guy by the name of Sammy Green, who will also be coming to the golf tournament. But Melvin, the WJJM stands for the following, Pat, for Wayne, Jimmy, John, and Melvin. And we had to establish a 501c3, which we have, and our objective, we qualified as an official scholarship provider for one of the 85 scholarships that the University of Florida gives every year. And so it's in the name of Leonard George and Willie Jackson, the first 2 African Americans to play at the University of Florida, and the first 2 to graduate at the University of Florida. So the endowment is in their name, and all the proceeds, April 2nd, at the Mark Bostic Golf Course, will go to the scholarship fund for the boosters and their scholarship that we will be offering to an athlete, a student athlete, every year.
And what's the best way people can get involved in this?
Yes, sir. And we're also going to be at Steve Spurrier's on April 1st, and we'd like the public to please come out. We're going to have different contests. We have footballs signed by Coach Spurrier, and also All-American athletes, some of the people who will be coming to the golf tournament that some of the Gator fans can come and see at the celebration point right outside of Spurrier's restaurant is Coach Doug Dickey will be here. Coach Steve Spurrier, of course, will be there. Coach Doug Dickey and Don are actually going to play in the golf tournament. All-American Steve Tannen, who used to play as well for the New York Jets, and a first-round draft choice coming out of the University of Florida. Carlos Alvarez, Nat Moore, Ralph Ortega, both out of Miami. All three of those guys are coming up from Miami to play in the golf tournament. Sammy Green, Lee McGriff, Jimmy Dubose, Larry Morris, Wes Chandler, Riedel Anthony is going to participate. Chris Doring also will come. And people who supported this endowment, Chris Collinsworth, very supportive of this endowment and very appreciative also of the accomplishments of Leonard George and Willie Jackson.
I don't know. Riddell may win that contest, that race with Terry LeCount. That could be close right there.
Well, if anyone knows anything about golf, please put your money on Nat Moore. He is an unbelievable golfer. Yes, indeed. Yeah, and so Judd Davis is also an outstanding golfer, former kicker. Yeah, very good kicker. And Earl Carr, he's coming up. He confirmed he will be here as well.
What kind of kicker or what kind of golfer is John Williams? Because usually kickers are really good golfers because they have that rhythm. Yeah, well, if he could kick a golf ball, he might have a chance. But he can, well, let me just take that back because I know if he's listening, he would say, listen, I played baseball, and he was an outstanding baseball player, basketball player out of Cross City, as well as a football player. As a matter of fact, Doug Dickey always tells the story that they came to watch a guy by the name of Willie Collins. And so Willie was the quarterback, a guy who ended up going to Bethune-Cookman, but everybody was recruiting Willie, who was about 6'4", 230-pound quarterback, and led Cross City to the state championship game. They didn't win, but they still got there. Yep. Instead, they picked up John Williams, a straight-on kicker, and John was the first freshman to hit the field because he won the kicking duties on kickoff and field goals. So it was a straight-on kicker back then, and you got to remember, in the rain against LSU, what an outstanding kicker. LSU at the time was number 3 in the country and were led by Burt Jones. Yes. And they were 1 of 8 on field goals that day, and Florida was like 1 of 1.
That's correct.
William Smith, the only one that mattered. All right, before we let you go, we always do this yes, no way, or maybe. It is presented by Big Mills Cheesesteak, street food dining at its finest. And if you go by Big Mills and you order something and mention the Another Dooley Noted Podcast, you get a free order of fries with your meal. So here we go with Wayne Fields playing yes, no way, or maybe. Number 1, Florida will be DBU again. It's fallen off a little bit in the last couple of years.
Yes, absolutely. I love the recruiting that Coach Napier is doing. Fantastic. The defensive backs are going to be out of sight. They are going to be blitzing. They'll have stunts. They'll play in your face, man to man. But that's a yes.
I hope you're right on that one. Number 2, Terry LeCount. If you line up all the guys, now you can't put Riddell in there because he's still young, but all the rest of the guys, Terry LeCount would win the race down the first fairway.
Absolutely, yes. Terry LeCount and his wife, Val Jean, they are marathon runners now, today, as we speak. They are still very active. Terry LeCount, one of the fastest human beings on this planet. I'll never forget that he dropped the baton at the Florida Relays on the 4x4, and everyone had a lead on him. He picked the baton up and ran everybody down and won coming out of range. Unbelievable athlete. Yes.
Incredible. I did a big story out of up in Atlanta, and he's really gotten his life together, and he's really happy too. I'm happy for him.
Oh yeah, working for the College Hall of Fame up in Atlanta. But one of the few athletes that played quarterback, wide receiver, and defensive back. He played a different position every year.
Finally, number 3, an SEC team wins the basketball tournament.
Oh, maybe. I have to go maybe with that. We've still got a ways to go.
Well,
but they looked good the other
Kentucky,
night. That was a great win in the NIT.
Yeah, well, it's going to be interesting to see this going forward. Hey, Wayne, we appreciate your time, and we certainly want this tournament to be a big success. It's a great cause, and anybody who wants to get in touch with you, what's the best way to do it as far as the tournament goes?
Go to our website, www.wjjm.org. Please visit our website as well. If you are interested in our publication here, it's called mblistings.org. That's M as in Mary, B as in boy, LISTINGS.org. And so we're very happy with what we're doing right now, and we're doing just being involved and making a difference in people's lives. And we think that we can make that happen.
Wayne, I can't thank you enough. It's always great talking to you, buddy, and we will see you out there on April 2nd, okay?
April 1st and 2nd. April 1st, Celebration
too, yeah.
Point.
Here.
April 2nd, we'll be at the Mark Bostic Golf Tournament, and we have signed footballs, jerseys, caps. We're going to have game tickets, so it's worth your while to come out.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot for joining us, Wayne.
Thank you, Pat.
All right, Wayne Fields, one of my favorite players when I was a student here at Florida, and even at St. John's, even in high school. He was really good player, and that's a great cause to endow that scholarship. We got to get a break though. We'll be back with more. We got to get to 3 things. We got to get to Adams Ripco, Gator of the Week, Leo's Quick Picks, Hesser and Kipke Games of the Week, this, that, and the other. We got a lot of stuff still to do here on Another Dooley Noted Podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios.
Titan MRI, North Central Florida's premier independent diagnostic testing MRI facility. At Titan MRI, we're focused on you, the patient, having a great customer experience. Our MRI equipment is modern and 75% quieter than any unit in its class. And our MRI unit has one of the largest openings of any of the newer high-strength MRI units, which allows comfortable scanning for potential claustrophobic and larger patients. At Titan MRI, we look forward to serving you.
Hello there, everybody. I'm Pat Dooley, of course, from Another Dooley Noted Podcast. And this is a great Adam Brewer, and he has just opened up a place here, Adam Ripco To Go. What gave you the idea to do this, to have a to-go place like this?
We really like the fast concept, being able to get the barbecue. Now we have this new online ordering. So before it was a call ahead carry out, quick service. We have like a curbside kind of a deal where everything's ready to go for you. And then we thought, wow, we have a really great dine-in concept, but how can we make this streamlined for the customer and make it easy and accessible for all parts of town?
Adam's Ripco To Go. Come on down and enjoy it.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Trebo Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Bite Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
Another Duly Noted Podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Celebration Point. You can watch and listen to us on Facebook and YouTube for every podcast that we do on Mondays and Fridays at 2 o'clock. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Overcast, any of the other 39 platforms where you can find this podcast or your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments section below or call me if you want to do some advertising at 352-317-3444.
Albert, Alberta, I understand you were witnesses to a crash. Can you tell us about the accident? When you're in a crash, it's important to get witness statements immediately after the accident. Whether you're in a car, truck, motorcycle, scooter, or even a golf cart accident, at Meldon Law, we won't back down.
I just got a text from somebody saying, Todd is golden. Your thoughts? And I'm like, I cannot respond to a coach that just got hired by Florida that I've never heard of. Monday's show is going to be a great one because I'll have everything I'll have done more research on it. And again, we don't know that it's 100%, but it seems to be 100%. That Todd Golden is the new basketball coach at Florida, came from San Francisco, the Dons, as many of you know. They lost in overtime. Great game last night. There were so many great games. That Kentucky game was awesome. And it was so thrilling to see St. Peter's win that game. Just made me so happy. I cannot tell you how happy it made me. All right, it is time for us to do three things. Well, we got to do well, I tell you what we'll do. First, we'll do the Leo's Quick Picks because a lot of you, some of you got Florida right. Some of you picked Iona to win that game. And we're going to give you an easy one again this week. The men and the women are both playing, one on Saturday, one on Sunday, I think. How do they do? Is it 2-0, 1-1, 0-2? It's only three choices you've got. So that'll be the Leonardo's at Millhopper Quick Picks this week. So we already got some qualifiers because some people did win, and they were successful in getting it in. And so we will do that for the Leo's Quick Picks, and I actually am going to meet somebody here today to give them their winnings from the Quick Picks from Leonardo's. We appreciate Kyle Cohen over there. Okay, it is time to do three things presented by Hand Law. Many of you know that Three Things is presented by Hand Law all the time on this show, every Monday and Friday. And Hand Law is a Florida law firm which helps clients with government. You can learn more about Hand Law by visiting its website at www.hand.law. Firm is available for consultation in Jacksonville. I can't wait to get Chris Hand's take on this hiring. But again, I think a lot of us are basically going to have to say, let's just wait and see. Let's at least meet the guy. It's like with Billy Napier, everybody's like, oh, man, this is such a great – I'm like, he's 0-0. You know, let's see how he does. He's already made me mad once. Schedule a night spring game. I may have to get out of that one. All right, here, number one on Three Things presented by Hand Law. This quarterback carousel is just crazy. Every time I think, well, okay, now I can figure out where the quarterback's going to be. Now Deshaun Watson is down to the Saints and the Falcons. If he goes to the Falcons will then send Matt Ryan to the Colts, and somebody's going to have to end up in New Orleans. It's crazy. It's weird. And with all that swirling around, Devontae Adams gets traded to the Raiders. I don't even know what is going on anymore in the NFL. It goes back to the same old thing. The man is a genius. And I refer to Jerry Seinfeld, who had the greatest line ever about fans. You're rooting for laundry. And let's face it, that's all we're doing. If you're a Falcons fan, you've been rooting for laundry, and they're going to trade, they're going to get rid of Matt Ryan. Well, you're not rooting for Matt Ryan anymore. You're never rooting for individual players. And I just found this out the hard way in number two. And we all knew what was going to happen, or feared that it was going to happen. Freddie Freeman is now a Los Angeles Dodger. Well, what am I supposed to do? I love that guy. It was like when Dale Murphy went to the Rockies. I couldn't root against him, but I couldn't root for him. And to be honest, it's kind of like Mike White going to Georgia. I like Mike White a lot. I got along with him great. Towards the end, and maybe not so much. But the bottom line was, I like him. If he was at Stanford, I'd be rooting hard for him. I ain't rooting for him in Georgia. And I'm not rooting for Freeman with the Dodgers. I'm going to spend this weekend having a self-examination on whether I'm just going to quit being a Braves fan, because it really makes me mad that they got rid of him, okay? I think I'm going to still stick with him. Just my thoughts. And because they did do some smart things. Don't let Soler go, though, okay? Finally, number 3, if you think there's a quarterback carousel, you haven't seen anything till you look in the SEC in basketball, where coaches are getting fired and hired. And I mean, the rumor is that Sean Miller is going to be the new coach at South Carolina, which they're basically saying, you cheated. You made a lot of mistakes. We're going to take it. We saw what happened with Bruce Pearl. Bruce Pearl he cheated, okay? He had a 3-year show cause, came back, Auburn hires him, cheated again, and now he's doing great. And they don't care. They don't care. And you know, I think there's some Florida fans that are like, maybe we shouldn't care anymore. I mean, but Florida does care, and instead didn't go after. Anyway, I'm not going to sit here and criticize a hire that I don't know anything about. That would be stupid on my part. I thought they would be more patient and wait, but it almost feels like first coach eliminated. First hot young coach eliminated, boom, that's what we're going after. But you know, the latest was Ben Howland got fired by Mississippi State. That was a big hire when that was a Scott Strickland hire to Mississippi State. So, I mean, that was a big deal when he went there, but you know, in the SEC is all of a sudden it's like, we got all this money to throw away. We might as well do it on buyouts. So I think there's 14 teams, so I think 6 new coaches. It's actually 7. I think there's 6 firings and Mike White's abandoning ship. So that is 3 things presented by Hand Law. We appreciate Chris Hand, as always, for all he does for us. It is time now to go to the Hesser and Kepke games of the weekend. You guys fired up for the games this weekend? There is a lot going on, not only in town but out of town. A lot of it is out of town, but that's why we have televisions, right? Of course, the games of the weekend are always brought to you by Hesser and Kipke, a law firm based in Hale Plantation, specializing in employment, workers' comp, and family law. Visit their website at www.hklawfl.com or call Ken and Jennifer at 352-339-9920. Let's start off by the men's game. The men play at 1 o'clock against Xavier. Now, the interesting thing is, this is how wild and this thing feels like it's getting. Xavier won their first game in the NIT and then fired their coach. What? Why couldn't you fire him before that? But it's going to be interim versus interim, I guess, when they play Xavier. Xavier, a lot of people felt like was the first team eliminated, but I don't think that was accurate. When Richmond stole that bid, and of course Richmond's proving worthy with that win they had yesterday. A lot of people thought that was Xavier. That's where they got knocked out, but they clearly were out before, because they do. If you're the second seed in the NIT, it's the same people doing it. Am I making any sense at all right now? Okay, so we got that. We got the women, of course, playing in the NCAA tournament. That'll be a lot of fun on Saturday. I can't remember the time. I think it's 3:30 or 4, somewhere around there. But we'll watch that game against UCF. I mean, I'm not optimistic with Kiki Smith out, but, I mean, this team is – one thing about these basketball teams at Florida, they haven't been overly successful, but they have been resilient. And no matter what happens, you can't keep them down. Men's basketball, I mean, that was a nice win the other night. They're down the whole game, and they come back and win against a Hall of Fame coach in Rick Pitino. So we got that going on. Men's tennis. Remember last week I told you how men's tennis was playing two top 4 teams? They beat them both. So now they're home, and it'd be nice to go out there. Today they are playing at 5 o'clock against Ole Miss. Sunday at 1 o'clock against Mississippi State. So that's men's tennis, and pretty good men's tennis is. Don't forget, tomorrow night, gymnastics. You can't go to it, or you could go to it. Birmingham's an 8-hour drive. They're in Birmingham. Florida will be in the second section, the late session. They go at 8 o'clock. So that'll be a late night for people like me who stay up to watch those kind of things. It's amazing. The SEC has 8 teams. Think about that. The other 6 don't have gymnastics. They have 8 teams. All 8 of them are ranked on the top 25. So it'll be a heck of a meet. The teams that are in that first session are really good teams. They just aren't good enough to get in the second session. And again, you want to win. You want to be your best. You want to come out of it healthy, and you'd like to win. But if you don't win, it's not the end of the world. You already won the SEC, and you're in the NCAA tournament. You're not going to get knocked down for that. But you're competing. You want to win. It's like coaches always say. If you're competing, you want to win, right? Softball is at Texas A&M. 7 o'clock Friday, 3 o'clock Saturday, 1 o'clock Sunday. Those games are, I think, on ESPN+. Baseball at Alabama. So everything, and they start SEC play. I'm looking forward to that tonight. To be honest with you, I'm kind of fired up about my Friday night. It's going to be very, what's the word for it? Lazy? Slawfish? Is slawfish a word? But it's going to be. But it's going to be what it is. And then on top of all that, we got basketball, of course, tonight, Saturday, Sunday. It's a great weekend to be alive. If you're a sports fan and you don't mind your butt getting numb because you just want to sit and watch it. I'm going to try to get up and get out a little bit. I don't want to just be watching games. But that is our Hesser and Kipke games of the weekend, and there are tons of them. They're everywhere. They're all over the place. And I know that Ken Hesser is looking forward to seeing what his teams in the Big Ten are doing. They've struggled a little bit, but we'll see how they go. All right, finally, this, that, and the other. We bring this to you on every Friday. It's brought to you by Ballyhoo Grill and by Shakow Insurance and the Ironwood Golf Course. We appreciate all of our sponsors for doing so much here on Another Dooley Noted Podcast from Meldon Law Gator Studios. Everyone had a coach in mind. Everybody had an answer who the best coach would be. No matter who it was. It was a lot of people wanted Anthony Grant to be the coach. A lot of people were looking, to extremes. That was the this. The that was that people were really looking to extremes, wanted Rick Pitino to be the coach. Rick Pitino with tons of baggage at 70 years old. And I kept trying to talk him off the ledge over that I didn't think that was a good hire for Florida. I didn't think that was where Florida needed to go. Well, they hired a guy half their age, Pitino's age. He could be Pitino. He might be Pitino's illegitimate grandson or whatever. But anyway, the other was that Iona came in here, blew a lead against Florida, and everybody went, nah, we're good. We don't need Pitino. I think after that, you went, this is the same team we've seen all year. You're Florida, and just in a different conference. So I think that changed totally. So that is our this, that, and the other for this day. I think we've covered – oh, no, we have not covered everything. Adams Ribco to go, Gator of the week. And you know who's going to? Interim coach Al Pinkins. Did you see the celebration they had pouring water on him after he got his first win as a head coach? Did a heck of a job. I mean, it wasn't like he coached them much differently than Mike White would have, but they got the win. So Al Pinkins, and I may see him. I saw him just the other night at Las Margaritas, so maybe I'll see him again. And I'll present him with the and this is the official Gator of the Week memorandum. All right. So that will do it. Thanks again to Adams Ribco to go and all the people that are sponsoring this and are sponsoring my golf tournament. I love you all. I cannot thank you enough. And I love Evan or Adam. I love Evan for doing such a great job here on this show. We appreciate it. We'll be back Monday with another great show. We have a lot to talk about again, I'm sure. We will have a lot to talk about with the basketball tournament. Certainly something will happen with football, and we'll talk about, what's his name again? Todd Golden. Not Todd Grantham. Todd Golden, the new men's basketball coach. Weird. All right, we are going to be back Monday with Coach Spurrier. Don't forget to join us. Until then, I'm Pat Dooley. I am deep. I am way back, and I am out of here.